many fans you earned this year.
Hello fellow disc golf enthusiasts, and welcome back to the continuation of round 2 coverage of the 2023 Åland Open. We are here at Vesterkalmare Disc Golf Park, and we have an exciting course with a stacked card and an absolute bomber of a back 9 here to be bringing you. This is round 2 back 9 lead card MPO coverage, brought to you by MDG Media. I'm Connor Wood, and with me, Elias Luukkonen.
What is up, Connor? What is up, viewers? Nice to be here once again. We saw some great shooting, specifically from Eagle McMahon on the front 9. As we take a look at the top 10, Eagle leading over Niklas Anttila from another card who shot a great 8 under front 9. Behind that, actually myself, Elias Luukkonen, somehow shooting a 7 under, and Øyvind Jarns also with a very solid 6 under front 9. Even though the front 9 being arguably the more challenging of the two 9s for a lot of players. As we gradually move on to more of the open holes, this one being semi-wooded, semi-open. 127 meters, most players are taking the hyzer route from around the outside of the first trees. You're trying to crash your hyzer in to the ground before the late trees on the right. Hopefully take a small skip to the basket, and don't skip too far left, because that left side OB is almost inside the circle on the left side.
A very fast green, especially coming in on that hyzer shape. Although it's the most natural one to access the green easily, we see Miro up first off the tee, hitting that late entrance beautifully, a soft ground play to about circle's edge, perhaps a little bit inside. A very strong putter, and the rains are pouring now. Interesting to see how players navigate that. You see some very condensed and shortened routines prior to both throwing and putting. Eagle there playing a very overstable disc, likely a fairway, and skipping up to the pin. Incredible precision on this blind downhill hole.
What a nice line from Eagle, and he was able to keep the height pretty low, which is ideal if you want to park the hole, also to remove some of those unpredictable spike hyzer skips. You see Scott here is going a little bit wide, needs to swing left in a hurry, but he has stayed on the right side of the fairway, not really within putting distance, and especially not a great angle to putt from, so he's gonna have to lay up for the par there.
Hjalte opting for the similar fighting hyzer line. Great angle integrity on that one shape, and just a little bit long, but a great entrance as well to that late gap. He is in the circle putting for birdie. We see this is the right side hill. Players walk along. Scott, his lie still, as you mentioned, Elias, well outside putting range, especially towards that OB. He wants to come up a bit short, and he does just that. Stress-free par.
Everybody else on the card here, on the other hand, gonna have some chances for the birdie, and Hjalte, very good putt. Especially after, at the end of the front 9 on hole 9, he had that really short, about 4 meter missed putt, able to clean up the error there. Miro with a good one as well, as we mentioned, a very strong putter, and even though he didn't have a great front 9, at least not quite as hot as he would have liked it to be, there's some good birdie opportunities on the back, as we're gonna have 3 birdies on the card already on hole 10.
Scott tapping in his 3 there, falling 1 behind the card, at least in this back 9, as he endures the pouring rain now. Stoic as ever. Our players will move on. They hike up the hill to hole 11.
What a beautiful hole this is. Especially in the drone shots with no rain, but probably in the rain as well. 400 meters, par 5. This hole really gives you a chance to either go for a huge shot over this field, hopefully fade left into the inbounds area. You can either play that big shot or go safe with your first towards the left side of the fairway short. For the second shot, most important thing is to stay on the fairway. Whether you go for the big shot or the shorter layup, most players are from either scenario is going to just throw to the fairway and hopefully throw a pretty short approach to the basket to get their simple 4. It's a long hole, but with some smart shots, it's not too difficult.
Absolutely. Eagle McMahon even taking the 3 here yesterday with an incredible pushing hyzer off the tee, crossing over. Interested to see how aggressive he'll get. We see a great pushing hyzer from Miro here, perhaps bringing in that OB island into play, but firing just long of it and to the left. That's an ideal, what most would consider a safe position and tee shot, not yet crossing to the second leg of the fairway.
Miro even pushing the OB with that safe drive, so he's gonna have some easy time getting up to the basket with 2. And look at Eagle, he's actually changing his play to the safer shot, going just right side of that OB bunker. There is an optional drop zone on this hole. If you go OB, you can either go to the drop zone or continue very close to the OB. But hopefully none of these players will have to think about that, as Hjalte is going for the huge shot even in the rain. This is fading out early though. Let's see if it gets over the OB. Wow, and it does. What a huge, humongous throw there.
Really getting a nice shape with the nose down angle. That playing near to 200 meters, probably about 150 or 160 flat ground power, effortlessly shaped by Hjalte Jensen. Scott as well playing the power hyzer, looking to be coming up just on the short side, as I'm sure his game plan brings him to. And he's also pushing that OB river just near Miro. Both of them will have a nice straight look into the fairway and won't need to shortcut over the OB too much. Although, where Eagle lies for his power, although he's traveling over OB, a significant part of the flight shouldn't be too big of an issue. Still very manageable birdie if he can put this in the fairway in position.
Pretty simple hyzer there for Eagle. And he's even pushing the left side of the fairway, playing it well safe off the short OB. He's got either a fairway driver or even a mid-range approach from there, whatever he likes. And Miro here, gonna throw a similar shot, although from a way better angle and further down the fairway. So able to push pretty far even with that high hyzer. He's actually gonna have a similar distance left as Eagle. Pretty regular shot from there.
If you have the power rather, the birdie is very easy to find with 3 power hyzers, backhand or forehand. The tee shot offering more of a backhand look. Scott Stokely going for the power forehand, as he is one to do, and he is center fairway with some great progress, probably about 80 from the pin there, and he's showing just exactly how to play in these wider fairways, longer holes. Hjalte off a huge drive, maybe looking to make a statement here and find the Eagle 3 of his own on this 400-meter hole. He has crushed this one up the fairway, just a little bit right of where the basket is. Maybe pin high, Elias? What do you think?
Really hard to say from that angle, but I believe he has to be within jump putt range with those 2 big throws. And Eagle here has a pretty simple hyzer. Important not to fade too far left on this one, as he has kept it safe on the right side of the basket. Well done there. OB left and short of the basket does creep in inside the circle, so a quite common miss to go to that OB left with the approach.
Miro shaping the hyzer as well. As you mentioned, that left side coming into play quickly. Players will hang it out nice and wide, moving towards the basket with all of their fade. You really don't want to move left of the basket unless you're trying to throw it in. We see Scott going with a severe spike angle here, but so much distance that it's more than enough to get himself up and into the circle. Nice and safe for his birdie putt.
And Hjalte here, definitely within range. Let's see if he can make it for a highlight.
Oh.
Not quite, but that is the easiest birdie you can have on this hole, at least for the putting.
Scott's speed on his putting routine paying off there in the rain. Walks up to his lie and chucks it in, finding the 4 here on 11. You see Miro Both of them taking very similar lines, both off the tee up to the fairway and then on the approach. Both of them cashing the putt as well. Masterfully done by both the young and the old here.
Yeah, that's a good point. The age difference between Miro and Scott is actually 35 years. And I believe that's almost as long as Scott has been playing disc golf for. So we've got some serious age difference and some serious experience, especially from Scott on this card. As we're taking a star frame on hole 11. What a great play from the card.
If you have the power, the placement hyzer is really the way to get there. And beautifully executed by our leaders.
Moving on to a tricky par 3. It is 123 meters going slightly downhill. There is OB on the left side. And also this OB river. These bushes you see on the right are also inside of the OB. And those are the bushes that most players are trying to go over with a backhand shot. Some people going for a forehand as well. I believe Scott is going for that shot rather than the backhand. Forehand is a better play here if you have it, but the hyzer, flat to hyzer backhand is what most people are going with.
Well, I don't necessarily disagree. I would argue that the backhand travels over in bounds the majority of the flight, whereas the forehand has to push out of bounds. We see a huge flex from Miro, firing just a bit long, but a really nice width on the turn and fade with his driver there.
Miro keeping the shot perfectly safe. Important to get that slight bit of anhyzer to the start of the flight. As you can see, Eagle putting quite heavy anhyzer on it, going with a very overstable fairway driver. And almost acing the basket. What a big throw from him and perfect angle control.
That just came in with so much heat, even on a slightly stalled out shot. We see the stability of the disc slamming it into the ground with that downwards left final movement to the shape. Hjalte, also an extremely aggressive anhyzer release over the bushes. He will need to find the late stability to have a look at the birdie, and he does. Fades back into the circle. Some great backhands. We'll get to see Scott's attempt now. As you mentioned, going with the forehand, he will be flying over the left side OB for a lot of the flight. He'll need the stability to bring him back in bounds over these trees.
That's just a great, great looking line out of the hand. Pretty much never in any trouble. And he's within 5 meters there. That's 4 good drives from the card. On a hole that can pretty easily be bogeyed. That left side OB coming into play, especially for the backhand shots if they're fading out. And Miro there. Another solid putt. He's already had 3 solid putts to start off this back 9. Possibly getting a little bit fired up from that 3-meter spit out he had on the front 9.
Hjalte as well, good for that birdie putt, putting his round to 4 under so far. 3 for 3 on this back 9. Scott in as well as we look to complete our star frame here on hole 12. 31% of the field finding the birdie. Our lead card more than likely part of that 31%.
Yep, a lot of green to be had on the scorecard. Only 1 par so far on the back 9. Out of 12 tries, that is a pretty good stat by the card. As we're moving to another pretty simple hole, it's one of the easier holes on the course. Really not a lot to punish you on this hole. It's 94 meters, going uphill. You have a great backstop behind the basket. Shape is pretty much straight. Some people even going for an outside, left side, turnover or forehand hyzer. I believe Scott might be going for that line, but most people going either for a straight shot or a bit of a cheeky flex shot around the right side.
You see Miro up first with a great straight flight, just keeping it a little bit too low to make it onto the final plateau of the green. Will be left, I believe, just within circle 1. Eagle playing the power hyzer out to the right. He's given it the height and he wants this to now crash in also just a little bit shy of that top shelf.
Still well within putting distance, and that's a common result on this hole. Even with a bit of an errant shot, you're almost always putting. As we see Hjalte, great looking line there.
Oh.
He's hit the bank on the front side of the basket and in the bullseye for the easy birdie. Gonna have 4 in a row to start off this back 9. And Scott actually changing his play. He was in round 1 going for the left side around the outside play, but now going for the Eagles route on the right side. And a couple of outside the circle looks here. Let's see if these guys can make them.
The solid stepper from Eagle McMahon, slightly uphill from circle 2, and he is good for it. He continues his birdie streak on the back 9, retaining all green so far. What a statement from our leaders. He's now sitting at 19 under par, has separated himself significantly, at least from this lead card that he's playing on. We see Scott from behind the basket putting backwards. An awkward stance, I think, and an uncomfortable stroke. He comes up short. This is Miro, a great position for his birdie.
Very solid stroke once again. Making it 4 birdies in a row, also 4 good putts in a row. And actually going back to the end of the front 9, I believe Miro actually already has 6 birdies in a row instead of 4. So very hot streak after the less than ideal start. He was, I believe, only 1 under through the first 7 holes.
As Eagle, Miro, and Hjalte storm ahead 4 through 4 on this back 9.
Moving up the hill to hole 14, a beautiful downhill par 4. It is playing at 222 meters down the fairway. First shot, you're really trying to just position yourself going over this small river between the first and second part of the fairway. Everybody on this card most definitely going for the second part. And if you execute your drive, a straight shot with an overstable driver finishing to the fat part of the fairway, you have a pretty simple approach. Very short, most likely a putter or an overstable approach disc to the green. Another one of these holes that all of these players are looking to birdie.
If you can push your drive far enough to the back end of the fairway, it can even be almost a jump putt across to the island green. We see Miro with a very low shot contending with the OB River. Has he given it enough juice to clear it? I believe he has. Found himself safe. We'll see what footing he is left with there. May perhaps take a meter off that OB line.
An eagle going very wide. Trying to go with a more overstable disc here. And it looks like it's working out well. You can see he was pulling it way to the right. Deliberately, most likely, and finishing in the middle of the fairway.
Some extreme overstability for Eagle there. An extreme reliability to put himself in the fairway. Hjalte catching, I believe, an early branch on his way, but with a lot of speed. Also playing it out nice and wide, drops it into an ideal location. Dead center fairway. He will be about 60 or so meters from the basket, probably about 50 to inbound safe island green. Scott here going for the forehand. Anything that shapes nicely up to flat and then fades into the middle is a nice shot.
And that's a very impressive forehand. This drive is so much more difficult with the forehand compared to the backhand, since the fairway is shaped much more for the backhand straight to hyzering shot. Good job by Scott there. And Miro actually has a long distance, about 90 meters left. And he's deciding to go for the island green here, and what a great shot there. Inside the circle from a non-ideal drive.
Eagle up now, looking like he wants to spike something in. These hay bales offer you a soft wall to crash into, although any serious skip can jump them. Eagle settles nice and soft though. A good touch with his low-speed disc there, pushing the left side wall of the island green. We'll see Scott now.
Scott with the rare backhand. Especially rare backhand approach from that range. We saw a couple of slow disc forehands from him on the front nine from similar distance. But shows off that he's got some good accuracy with the backhand too. And Hjalte with just a pitch shot here. Looks like he's almost running the basket. And what a bad skip there. Pays the price for being aggressive on the second. He has hopped out of the hay bales. Luckily for him, it doesn't play as an island rule. So if you cross the island, you will get to play from there.
Eagle able to secure his birdie here on hole 14, pushing himself to 20 under. Miro as well, continuing his birdie streak and trying his best to keep up with Eagle's incredible pace. Hjalte now looking to have a tap-in par. As you mentioned, Elias, a slightly more forgiving rule on the island green, allowing him to stay close when he goes OB left. And Scott, with a very nice backhand approach, pops the mini down, cashes his putt in, a tap-in 3 here on hole 14. We have all but Hjalte receiving the birdie.
Yep, simple hole made look simple by the card as well. And here's another not particularly difficult hole, but can be very tricky. It's only 90 meters, shaping as a forehand hyzer for most players. You can see the green is very rocky, and landing anything within the 5-meter radius of the basket is almost impossible. Most people that get the birdie on this hole get it from the bottom of the hill, from the further side of circle 1.
Very uncommon players are able to stick it. Some players even opting to play up the hillside behind the basket to try and filter down. You see Miro up first, shaping the turnover backhand, fires very straight and looks to have left him with a circle 2 look. Eagle, slightly unorthodox line.
I believe he was going for the forehand in round 1, but now choosing to go with the huge spike hyzer. And he has hit it next to the basket, about 3 meters away, but getting that roll away that we so often see on this hole. Good to note, Eagle actually in round 1 got a double bogey 5 after putting for birdie on this hole, so probably scared for some of those rollaways. And Scott here, going with the felon. He's trust the disc and he's able to spike it next to the basket. What a great result. Almost never do you see somebody stay on top of the boulder there.
Some great ground play for Scott. That overstable disc doing him very well. We see Hjalte playing the forehand hyzer, the most traditional shape for this hole. A little bit early, he catches a branch and pushes to just outside circle 1 and significantly uphill. Eagle with the huge roll away. He just tries to pitch up to somewhere flat and even gets a soft kick away from the basket, showing some signs of frustration that will be his birdie streak coming to an end. Hjalte with a chance to get back on, and he fires just to the left side. Also going uphill. These rocks are also very slippery now in the rain, and getting good footing and sitting your putter down is considerably more difficult. But Miro just continues to storm ahead, 9 under for the round, and just look at that scorecard. The guy is not throwing a bad shot or missing a putt in this back 9.
Yep, Miro really taking advantage of the more open back 9. You know, you have some room to make those errors, and even his tee shot, he wasn't quite happy with it, didn't quite get the perfect turn, still able to make a good putt for the birdie. As we saw Eagle getting a par, which obviously he's not going to be fully happy about, but after taking the double bogey in round 1 on the same hole, he must be a little bit content with that 3.
See Hjalte with the par, and Scott Stokely, absolutely parking hole 15, is able to place it in the bottom of the cage. A smile on his face. It's incredible to see his pure enthusiasm for the sport. On and off the course, he is a great ambassador.
And walking to the final 3-hole stretch of the course, 3 very open holes starting on this 293 meter par 5, hole 16. It's not the longest par 5 in the world, so you can either take the safe hyzer off the tee, just try to get more than 100 meters of distance, or you can go for a more aggressive shot if you want to bite off more distance and potentially give yourself a very long look at that Eagle 3. Most players though just playing the first shot safe and even the second shot safe, taking their short approach to the green. It's a pretty simple hole to birdie if you just stay on the fairway and get some good chunks of distance, both off the tee and off the second shots.
Another par 5 that does shape nicely for 3 power hyzers if you have the distance to get that far on one angle. We see a very wide shot sneak up to the OB stakes and find itself in bounds just barely. Miro there. Fortunate green flag for him. This is Scott now. Also playing the backhand hyzer.
And for some of our newer audience, might not know that Scott was actually holding the distance world record, I believe in the 90s. So used to be a very long throwing player, still a pretty long throwing player at the respectable age of 54.
And even had his longest forehand ever only a year ago. We see a huge bomb from Eagle McMahon has smushed this well down the fairway and clears the OB island by a good 10 or 20 meters. Folks, that is all of 160, 170 on an almost pure hyzer. Absurd distance from Eagle McMahon off the tee.
That is a huge shot. Let's see if Hjalte is actually trying to do something similar. Also a very big armed player, and he has got this turned over well. Looks like he's almost out-driving Eagle with that cloudbreaker of his. That's 2 of the best drives you're gonna see on this hole throughout the whole day.
And I do believe Hjalte just a little bit further. Miro here looking to get himself up over the mud lip and just skirting the OB to the left side, has found flat ground and solid footing. We see quite calm Miro just assessing the situation. Scott looking to play backhand. You really do want to push the right side of this fairway if you can. The left side has that OB bunker that can bring in some danger, but Scott also very well positioned. If you do find yourself on the left, the advantage is that you have a straight look into the green rather than a left to right.
Let's see if Eagle gets aggressive here. He does have the distance to go to the green, but a safe shot is also just fine here. Looks like he's going for it. With a big hyzer to flip up, and he has actually crashed the trees near the basket. I believe he's going to be in circle 2 for the Eagle 3 on this hole. What a great shot there.
And Hjalte with the longest drive of the card, also potentially hunting that 3. Similar line, they need to play right of that gap and fade left late into it. And as a result, you see both of them crashing towards the trees. May have obstructed long looks at the Eagle. Miro now. You see being on the left side of the fairway has offered him more of a straight look. Goes for a soft forehand flex and a good angle control. Didn't get that last skip, but did get a friendly kick off the tree. He is on the green and putting for birdie. Very well done.
And Scott here, once again with an unconventional approach, going with the huge spike hyzer with the slow disc. And he's trickled just slightly down the hill, but still well within putting range. And Eagle there Possibly trying to give it a bid, but settles for the easy birdie. And look at how close Hjalte is.
And he finds the band for the eagle putt, able to throw about 170 meters and then 130. Crashes the trees. The sea is still up now for his birdie putt. You can see Hjalte, a player who frequently has a very long putting routine, really likes to ensure a solid grip and focus, maybe shortening his routine due to the rain. Doesn't have as much time to keep the disc dry, perhaps contributing to some of his difficulties on the green, although still playing a very hot round. Scott with the easy birdie. Great execution on his game plan as well.
And Miro here getting his 9th birdie in a row. Just lighting up the back nine here. And Eagles no slouch either, only having 1 par so far on the back nine. Pushing his score to 12 under for the round. Hot round for round 1 was 10 under. Let's keep that in mind.
Set by Hjalte on this very card.
And 2 more holes left to go. Hole 17 being more simple of those two. 110 meters. Actually playing exactly at 100 meters, measured with a laser straight to the basket. You have this OB short left and long off the basket, so good distance control and angle control here required. The shot itself is pretty simple. Most players are taking an overstable fairway driver, hanging it out wide with a right hand backhand hyzer, hopefully take a small skip and find themselves inside the circle here.
Miro at a crucial moment is playing a nearly perfect game, spikes himself into the green and is about 7 or 8 meters for his birdie putt. Miro looking to push that 20 under point through 2 rounds, averaging 10 under per round, an incredible score that will most certainly land you on the upper end of the rankings.
And Scott here, going for, once again, the more unconventional forehand. He has had a bit of an early release there, or just going too tight with the forehand hyzer. I believe he's going to be outside the circle for the birdie. Which is not what you want to do on this hole. It's one of the easier shots on the entire course for the level of players that we have on the card. You can see Eagle also taking a very overstable fairway driver. And he's actually also wide right. Gonna have to make a putt from circle 2 if he wants to get that birdie and not lose strokes to anybody on the field.
Absolutely. Hole 17 coming in as the easiest of the day. We see Hjalte quite upset with his release point, but brings it down pretty close and also finds himself in the circle, almost the exact distance from tee to pin, just a tad left. We'll see Scott up first on the green. What in round 1 was the windiest green. It has settled a little bit with the rain here in day 2. Scott a touch low. You'll see if Eagle can find his look.
And he can. That is a big putt in a big moment, trying to separate himself going into the final round. Momentarily gonna be 3 strokes clear of Miro, as Miro makes this birdie putt.
Flawless back nine so far for Miro.
And a lot of that has come down to his putting. He's made many putts from that 7 to 9 meter range. Talking about 7 meter range, Hjalte grip locking a putt from 7. Now, a bit of a comebacker here to clean up the par. And he's grip locked it again to the right. That is a tough situation to be in, and this is one of the toughest putts you can have. Once again from 5 meters. Gets the bogey into the basket.
Surprising from a player of his caliber, although putting is hard on any given day, especially in the rain. Slippery disc. We see a great care from Scott there to put that one in with absolutely no risk of it coming out. Not looking to play with fire whatsoever moving into our final hole of the day.
And what a hole it is. Hole 18, par 4 with a distance of 255 meters. You would like to cut off most of that distance with your first shot. Trying to throw an overstable disc flat or on a slight hyzer towards the right side of the fairway. Fade into this wide part of the OB-lined fairway, leaving yourself with just a 100-meter approach to this green with OB long, OB left, OB right, and also this OB bunker at the front. Very treacherous green as far as OB, but the grass is pretty tall. Many players are actually going for a steeper or less steep hyzer for the approach because there's almost no skips to be had on this hole. For the green, that is. From the fairway you can get some pretty big skips even.
Absolutely. We see Miro. Nice looking shot, pushing very far forwards and now finishing leftwards. The more left you can get off the tee, the bigger the reduction of the remaining distance to the green. And we see a very nice dead center placement from Miro there. Incredibly safe. Eagle once again playing with an extreme overstability, powering out this hyzer as you see him push well left of Miro's position. That will really put himself in the ideal scoring position, able to attack over that bunker fairly stress-free.
And Scott there showing off some of his backhand power that he's got. And that's a good position there. Not the shortest approach, but very manageable. And Hjalte, looks like Hjalte is going for the same disc as Eagle did. An overstable DD3 here. He has thrown it out a little bit more left than you would like. This needs to get over the OB. And it has stayed left. It's going to be a group decision whether they think he crossed on the far side of that OB river or on the short side.
And a fairly important decision as it determines if he can access the green in one throw or not. This is from the short side. I think a fair assessment of the situation. He is going to be playing the power hyzer, trying to navigate his way to the green, but he's significantly pinched and he fires just to the last OB stakes. From that position, incredible to put himself on the green and difficult to see if he's kept safe, but a great recovery either way for Hjalte.
And Scott here going for a safe shot. I talked to him after the round and he was actually decided that he's going to be on the lead card with just a par. So playing it safe and just trying to get his par and have another appearance on the lead card for the final day. Miro, on the other hand, not going for the par, going for the wide hyzer, and just gets it over the OB bunker. He has a chance to finish with 11 birdies in a row if he can make his final putt from about 7 meters.
Some incredible energy in the air. On hole 18, Eagle opting for the high spiking hyzer, looking for a lot of up and down movement, and finds it a little bit leftwards short, but clearing that OB bunker is leaving himself with a birdie putt. Scott here giving it a long putt and settling nice and soft, even hits the pin for good measure. A tap in par as his game plan goes. This is Hjalte. A big moment, I believe a par save here.
And that's gonna be a frustrating finish for Hjalte. Finishing with back-to-back bogeys there. And Eagle, nothing close to a frustrating finish, and as he goes 8 under through the back 9, 14 under round score. Beating the hot round of round 1 by 4 strokes. What an incredible performance.
Absolutely shredding the course, Eagle McMahon, alongside Miro Ryhänen. 12 under for the round and a perfect back 9 here at Vesterkalmare. disc golf course. Very rare you see a flawless performance through 9 holes. Miro Ryhänen has brought you that here today. We see Hjalte taking the double bogey and Scott Stokely playing for par and receiving just that incredible excitement as we close out the second round.
Wow, that was some of the highest level of disc golf I have seen all year. As we take a look at the top 10, Eagle with that 14 under round able to take the first leading position by 2 strokes over Miro. And Niklas Anttila also with a great 14 under round, only 3 strokes back off the lead. And Scott Stokely actually not being able to make it to the lead card. And instead we're gonna have Matt Bell tied 4th position. Gonna finalize our card for tomorrow. Thank you, viewers. Thank you, Connor. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Elias, and thank you for joining us here today. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're feeling extra supportive, check out that Patreon as well. We wish you all a great day, and make sure to tune in to the exciting conclusion, round 3 of the 2023 Åland Open. We'll see you there.